Famous Dr. Phil once said, if you want more, you have to require more of yourself. Welcome to McBain Moments. Alright, as always, if you're new to the channel, welcome to the Manor. Make sure you take a moment and subscribe down below. We're on the road to 13 million subscribers, one subscription at a time, so make sure you subscribe. Also, if you want to support my work, please consider going to patreon.com/JulianMcBain. Link will be in the description. If you want more, got to require more of yourself. And this is something I think a lot of people struggle with. I struggle with it, or I have struggled with it. I struggle with it less now because I have discovered as time has gone on and I've continually ramped up my efforts. The more you do, the easier it is to ramp up more. And so it's like everything else. It follows along that wonderful Pareto distribution that I hammer on ad nauseum. But basically what it comes down to is, if you don't like where you are in life, buckle down and increase your efforts. It's all it really takes. At least in the short term. I mean, yes, there are other factors involved. Where you live, economic factors, social reasons, the intermarriage of socioeconomic issues, cultural issues. But really, to take that next step, usually only requires you ramp up the effort. And I'm not saying it's going to be easy, and I'm not saying that you should sacrifice self-care. Just don't let it be a crutch. Okay? And this kind of ties in with my last video on spoons. Self-care is not inherently negative. You know, understanding spoons theory and the ways that it works is not inherently negative. The reason I dislike it is because too many people, probably more than half of our society today, uses it as a crutch. So it's like, well, I can't put the effort in. I need to take care of myself right now. The problem is that putting the effort in is what's really taking care of you. So you're at this level and you want to make it to this level. To make it to this level, you got to climb this ramp. That ramp means you got to put more effort in to make it to this level, and then you have to maintain that effort to stay at that level. For a lot of people, that's very scary. What they don't realize is that once you make it to that level, actually the amount of effort you need to stay there is much less than it took to get there. And part of that's because the mental effort isn't as necessary because you're used to being there. You're used to doing the work to stay there. The second is, it's like I said before, 10% more effort yields 40% extra results on average over time. So really, you don't have to put in a huge amount of extra effort to make it that extra percentage, to get up to that next level. And then as you get used to it, that becomes the new normal, and then you look to the next level. And that's how you grow. But if you want to get there, you have to require yourself to do the work and to put forth the effort. And this is any walk of life. One of the most difficult things that I've always struggled with is my ability to deal with social situations. Seriously. And those of you who actually know me, because there are several people who watch this channel that know me in person, those of you who actually know me would probably never guess it. But it's true. It took years of work for me to accept those social situations and climb that mountain to the next level. And I'm not where I need to be. But it was through all that extra effort, exposing myself to situations where I didn't have a choice. Putting myself in a situation to have to practice. And this is true of any skill that you're trying to develop. If you're trying to develop money consciousness, constantly reviewing how you add up your finances, constantly paying attention to your bank account. If you're trying to get better at being an artist, constantly drawing new things, constantly refining how you put the lines on. If you're trying to become a better fencer, constantly practicing the motions, trying to perfect the technique. It doesn't matter what it is. You know, even in certain gambling games, there's a certain amount of skill that you can perfect. I mean, true, there's a lot of chance involved. I'm not a big fan of gambling. I only gamble with my life, never my money. But it's a factor where you have to understand when to... It's the old saying, you have to know when to hold them and when to fold them. But understand that life itself is not a hold 'em and fold 'em game. It's actually more like Dark Souls, where you just ram your head against the wall until you manage to break through. That's life. It's a grind, and you can do it. But if you want to make it to that upper level, you got to keep holding yourself to a higher standard. Make a goal, accomplish the goal, come up with a higher goal. The suggestion that Grant Cardone comes up with, and I'm still deciding whether or not I think it's the best way to do it. I do know it's a functional way to do it. And it's a good way to do it from an accomplishment standpoint. But his way of looking at it is, think about where you want to be. Now set a goal 10 times higher than that. Okay, now put in 10 times the amount of effort that you think you need to get to that 10 times goal. That'll get you where you want to be. And actually, it'll get you far past it, but that'll get you where you want to be at the very minimum. Because by requiring so much more out of yourself, that's 100 times what you originally did, you're going to make it to where you wanted to go. Now, does that work for everyone? No. It does work for a large number of people, but it doesn't work for everyone. But that being said, it's a good guideline for you to decide how you're going to proceed. We can all do better. We can absolutely all do better. And the biggest fault we as human beings have is settling. Once you settle, you give up. Because if you're not growing, you're shrinking. That's just that's a mathematical fact, that's a scientific fact. That's just the way things go. Because once you settle, you start to atrophy, and then you're like, oh, I used to be able to do that. I wonder what happened. Oh well, go back to watching TV. Don't let yourself get there. You can be more than you are. Just put the effort. Require yourself to put forth the effort. This has been a McBain moment.